What is up, guys? It's your boy GeeMax, and in today's little episode, I get to test out something that has intrigued me recently whilst attending an MSI launch for their latest series of notebooks. Whilst offerings ranged from entry to performance grade, I had my eye on their GT75VR in particular. Now, while most of you may think it was just the intriguing glow from the SteelSeries designed RGB mechanical keyboard, you heard that right. A full mechanical backlit keyboard is nestled within this bad boy. It did attract me. However, they're marketed as VR-ready notebooks. VR, of course, stands for virtual reality and has become a slight fascination of mine. The power required for virtual reality games and experiences is definitely on the high end of the spectrum when it comes to gaming. Therefore, seeing a notebook offering this ability means there's something magical taking place under the hood. Of course, magic doesn't exist, but Intel's Kaby Lake 4-core 8-thread Intel Core i7 7820HK CPU does, and with a base frequency of 2.9 GHz and a max turbo frequency of 3.9 GHz, it is decently beastly and decent enough to power this beast. With a TDP of around 45 watts, it must be noted that battery life is definitely not the name of the game for this series of notebooks. The CPU is unlocked, and although I didn't spend any time overclocking it, it should be noted that the possibility is there. 32 gigs of DDR4 3200 MHz RAM comes standard, with expansion up to 64 gigs for those that require it. On the graphics card front, the GT75VR comes with a mobile Pascal NVIDIA GTX 1080, which funnily enough pairs up pretty decently against the desktop version of the 1080. When it comes to notebooks, cooling is always an issue. With poor cooling comes high heat, and high heat comes thermal throttling. Thermal throttling, without getting into depth here, is the process by which hardware's performance is slowed down to maintain a temperature threshold to prevent hardware damage and malfunction. MSI has developed Cooler Boost Titan technology to combat temperatures and the dreaded thermal throttling. The notebook body is pretty large, but considering the cooling performance and the hardware specifications, MSI has done a great job keeping that design aesthetic and clean. The venting of hot air is done mainly towards the back of the notebook. However, some side cooling can make for a toasty mouse hand in winter. However, my testing is not mouse related, as I'll be putting it to the test with an HTC Vive to see how ready for VR this little monster really is. I would like to just say thank you to Rockley from XD Gaming. He came through to help me film the video. I needed someone to drive for me, and we managed to get a little bit of B-roll. Here's some B-roll for you guys. In my experiences, racing games and simulations in VR are quite taxing on a system, as most of the rendering has to take place pretty quickly. Tried Project Cars and got a constant 90 FPS with the Vive headset on the high settings. However, pushing them to ultra with AA turned on, found the notebook dipping down to about 75 FPS at certain times, which honestly does cause a bit of motion sickness. Assetto Corsa, however, kept up with the 90 FPS requirements on the Vive and became the game of choice when it came to simulations for me when testing out the notebook. I paired it up with the Logitech G29 steering wheel as well as pedals. Temperatures did not exceed 78 degrees on the GPU and load on any of the titles, so it could be said that MSI has managed to tame the thermal throttling dragon pretty admirably. admirably. So I'm super impressed by how well this notebook managed to go through the VR regime. It went through everything that I threw at it and performed admirably. Does have a high price tag. I'm not sure if that's worth it to a lot of people, but if you're looking for something that's capable of doing VR as promised, there's a notebook that you can take around with you. This thing does as it says it can do. Anyways, thanks a lot for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Hopefully I'll bring you something pretty cool rather soon.